welcome to the show. And you've heard the topic for today. And I would like to ask you this very fundamental question as we begin. Do you think that at the moment that the Southeast is moving in the direction that will set it as a super prosperous nation as a super prosperous geopolitical zone in the nearest future?
Absolutely not.
Why did you say so?
The Southeast hasn't even begun the journey yet. It feels like our leaders and the people in the region are just sitting down and waiting, hoping that things will suddenly get better. But I must tell you, the future is built. It's planned. You don't stumble into it, right? Progress is deliberate.
Okay.
You have to make plans. What you find in the business sector where I belong is that for people to start, for investors or entrepreneurs to start businesses, you have to plan and plan and plan. You have to look for the right location. You have to raise money for that business, pay for that right location, fix it so good, so that it can attract attention, so that you can improve the sellability of the business, right? So you have to plan, draw a business plan, do a feasibility study, then look for financing and make a plan to be able to generate enough funds to pay back the financing you got from the bank or wherever, And so if the business community does that, how do we think that a country, a state or a region can just tumble into progress? No, it's deliberate. You have to make, plans. You have to take planned steps to get where you want to be. Okay, and that's why this title is beautiful, a blueprint to a super prosperous Southeast. Yeah. What is a blueprint to begin with? For those who don't know, blueprint is like a plan, like the plans you use for construction. They are printed in blues, so that's how that word came to be used, blueprints, So what is the blueprint for the Southeast? There is absolutely none, okay? I wouldn't say I know everything that every state is doing. I'm from Anambra. I happen to have lived in Enugu all my life, apart from the days that I lived overseas. But I know that Anambra is taking deliberate steps to get to where it's going to be. They had a plan. I don't know if it's a 30-year or 50-year development plan, and it's working for them. They may not be there yet, but the beautiful thing about drawing a plan is that you draw the plan, you lay it down, and then you begin to follow it. In the beginning, it may look like nothing is happening, but after a while, that plan begins to come together, and then you begin to see things come together. Prosperity begins to come, IGR begins to grow, investors begin to come, and then you're wondering, how are they doing it? It's because they had a plan and they followed the plan. So the Southeast doesn't have a clearly stated developmental plan, and it has to do that. Okay. So leaders in the Southeast have to come together first of all and draw a plan. And when I talk about a plan, when we were kids, you heard about the Vision 2020.
Yeah,
that was a plan. It wasn't followed. 2020 is right here. And 1 year after 2020, a lot of the things that were promised, vision for all, power for all in 2020, good roads for all in 2020, none of that has happened because they just drew the plan and never followed it. So Southeast has to make a deliberate effort to draw a plan and actually follow that plan.
So what good is a plan if there is no guarantee that it would be followed?
No good. It's just good. It's just on paper, so it's no good to anybody. So that's why I say, again, I do not want to talk. We have criticized leaders a lot, So today I really don't want to criticize. I want to attempt to give solutions, right? So, but it still boils down to leaders. Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore. Now, every serious leader has to study Singapore.
True.
Listen, I'm not joking. Every governor, every president, every leader has to study Singapore as a case study. That is an embodiment of a success story. Lee Kuan Yew was an individual who decided, I am going to change the fortunes of my nation. Singapore is an island nation of about 5.5 million people. They used to have fishing villages and all of that. Landlocked, well, not landlocked, they surrounded by water, right? Okay. But basically, if they looked at their environment, they could have given up. We can't do this, But you need to study what Singapore is doing agriculturally, technologically. They're using technology to solve every problem conceivable by man. And they are on the path to becoming one of the greatest. They're already one of the greatest nations in the world. But they're on the path to becoming one of the first three. you know. And so if we are serious about it, you'll see that we have everything given to us, and we're just so lazy about it. It's about, you know, a political will. It's about making the right choices. You know, it's about a leader saying, okay, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. We can do this in the Southeast. Let me develop the Southeast. If other governors in the Southeast are not serious about it, if other states are not serious about it, it takes just one state to decide to do the right things. And then when people begin to see the result of the right decisions you've made, they'll be shamed to quickly join in the move.
They would want to model after what you
exactly.
It's good you mentioned Lee Kuan Yew, but critics of Lee Kuan Yew would say that he was totalitarian in his approach at several points. But he was a totalitarian leader with a vision.
I love that.
He was a totalitarian leader with a vision, and people also say, if we compare it to what we have going on in Rwanda now,
yes,
with Paul Kagame,
it's similar, right?
Yes, it's similar, but it's not very often that we get totalitarian leaders who have
that
a
are visionary, yes,
who have a vision. But that aside, you mentioned that.
Please, can we talk about that?
Okay.
Can we talk about that? It's so beautiful that you raised that. I've been wanting to talk about this for the longest time, you know. But it's beautiful that you raised that topic, that subject this morning. Now, listen. You talk about totalitarianism. You talk about a person being a dictator, right? Who is a dictator? Now, Western governments around the world go around the world destroying nations and claiming to be democratic. America, UK, France. Look at the former colonies of France. Look at what France is doing, them stifling their economies for the longest time ever. Taking all their GDP, you know, and putting it in French banks and giving them back loans from their own money and having them pay you back interest from their own money that you took from them and loaned it back to them and have them pay you interest on it. And then you claim to not be totalitarian. You claim to be democratic. Look at what America is doing. Destroying Venezuela, getting involved in other people's businesses, you know, trying to stifle Cuba. And then you claim to be democratic. You see, so I must tell Africans and the people called the third world to stop paying the West any mind. Mind your business and forget these people. They don't want the best for us. Now look at what they did to Gaddafi. They claimed he was totalitarian. But Gaddafi, when he was the leader, had free education for every Libyan. In 2008, the car voted the best car on road in 2008 was a Libyan-built car. I have pictures of cars that were developed by Libya under Gaddafi that he was planning to launch before they killed him. And things were working for these people. And then you suddenly, America and Europe, European Union, suddenly convinced the people that you need to kick Gaddafi out. Without Gaddafi. And look at Libya without him. Libya is messed up. Libya is set back more than 80 years. Before they can get back to where Gaddafi had them, it's going to take them 50, 80 years. And now they are also tackling, what's his name? The man from Rwanda. What's his name? My best friend. Paul Kagame. Now, I don't care about democracy. For me, it's not the best system of government. We must make it clear. You have to develop a system of government that suits a people. Bring a little bit of the good things in democracy. Bring the good things from what you call totalitarianism, and mix it up. Because actually, Africans, the way we are built, we don't answer to niceties. There has to be a little bit of force. So marry it, bring out a hybrid system of government that suits our people, and then begin to implement it. What's his name? That man, Kagame, is doing a great job. Leave him alone. Forget about that story of totalitarianism. Okay? Lee Kuan Yew, forget about that story.
Look at did a great job.
Look at the results. That's what we're talking about. And small landlocked nation in East Africa called Rwanda that had a civil war, genocide 25 years ago, is on its path to becoming the most developed country in Africa. Quickly trying to move away from developing nation to a developed nation. And it's going to be the first in Africa. And you're talking about totalitarianism.
They are currently a middle-income nation.
Exactly. So who cares about totalitarianism if you're bringing the result and you're not killing people on the street? The media is still working there. People are still able to criticize him. So what are you talking about?
The media in that nation would not totally agree with you because there was an opposition lady who was sidelined. But that's by the way. You mentioned Anambra State having a plan, a grand plan, and maybe several other states in the southeast might also have a plan. But how do we get to have a cohesive plan as a region, a southeast region? What is preventing this from happening? Is it that there is no genuine leadership figure amongst the southeast leaders? What is the problem?
No, it's not what it is. You know, again, we've talked about it a million times on this show, on other radio stations. We've talked about it, the individualistic nature of the Igbo man. You know, Igbo people like to do their own thing. Igbo people don't. We have a saying, Igwe Bike, but actually in practice we don't believe in that. You know, we know that Igwe Bike, you know, there's power in numbers, but when it comes to implementation, we actually do not act like that. You know, so that's what the problem is. An individual businessman wants to run his own business and do his own thing. It's my business, Ichigum Limited. It's my business. I'll run it. I'll do whatever I want. You know, nobody tells me what to do. But the truth is, overseas we find that you have what we call acquisitions and mergers. You know, and these are ways to build super businesses, right? If you have a goal as a businessman to build a unicorn, and a unicorn is a business that is so big that it's earning billions of dollars and all of that, you know, like a big business, you know, so you want to build a unicorn and you see that you have potential, but alone you cannot do it. What do? You seek partnerships. And so that's why we hear about mergers and acquisitions. So Apple right now, for example, can decide, I want to be the biggest business. It already is the biggest business in the world. But, you know, it could say, I want to be bigger than this in the next 2 years. So what can I do? Then I look for somebody who has something that I don't have. What can I do with them? Acquire them if they are willing to sell. That's what Facebook is doing.
Yeah.
Facebook was already a giant, but he decided to acquire
WhatsApp.
Instagram, right? I think he acquired Instagram. He didn't create Instagram.
Yeah.
He also decided to acquire WhatsApp. So what has he done by doing that? He makes himself, you know, a super company, and then stifles every other person around him and knocks out his competition. And now he's a unicorn, right? So states must study businesses and the principles that apply in business. Okay. Now in the Southeast, we're individualistic. States are doing their own thing, but as a region, we are better. Because listen, if we integrate the Southeast, all the states in the Southeast integrate, what you're going to have is that you're going to have a more prosperous region, right? Imo State, you're good with shoes and all that leather stuff, Abba, right?
Abba.
And you have this and you have this. Anambra, you have automobiles, you have spare parts and all of that. Integrate. Do a rail road that connects all the 5 eastern states. Do road networks that connect us from every angle. Okay, open up trade. Remove the state borders, make it seamless. Yes, we know for administration purposes, we know where the boundaries are, but make them irrelevant so that states in the Southeast can begin to work together. And when we can do that, we'll find a more prosperous Southeast.